And just like that, we are back with Chapter 71 of the Universe According to Mugsy. Today is Wednesday, May 28th, 2025. I am Mugsy, the creator, and you better be seeking to better understand your reality and the universe that you exist in. Otherwise, I don't know what you're doing here. What I am going to try and do is use all of the insights, all of the intuition that I've gathered through my heart-mind coherence that I have developed on my journey, my own unique individual journey that I am trying to convince you, the viewer, to start following and cultivating yourself. And I'm going to do it through the current events, the culture, and the consciousness. The consciousness is really the only thing that you have control over. And your individual consciousness contributes to this culture that is a collection of each of our individual thoughts, minds, and emotions. And that reality, the culture, creates these current events which we are going to start discussing right now, and the debt crisis that's going on in the United States of America. I don't know why anyone's freaking out about this. We have talked about it time and time again. Years and years, we've known that the United States is a teenager with a credit card out of control, at least for the last 20 years of this new century. That's exactly what it seems like. We've talked a little bit, gone back and tried to explain exactly how it was that we got here to this exact moment in time that's freaking a lot of people out. It's got the Wall Street Journal and Fox News and a lot of the news cycle up in arms because eventually we are going to have to do something about this. But that day is not today, my friends. It is rapidly approaching. And that's what I'm about to explain to you, because the universe is quiet, if not only for a moment, and that can be very dangerous. That quiet, that silence is the predictor of the crescendo, which is about to come into your reality. Now, how these things happen and how I predict them, I don't know, but we've been doing this now. It's for so long on this podcast, 71 chapters into this, that you guys should start to be reading the energy for yourself in the room. You should be pointing out to me, hey, doesn't it seem quiet, Mugsy? Isn't there something that's about to happen? Because you would be right, my friends. But let's go back and review a little bit of what I'm talking about and the United States and all of its power and where it comes from. The financial power of the United States of America is the lifeblood, the United States dollar, the world's reserve currency. It has the power because we have this magic over the world. The rest of the world knows that if everything were to go to crap, and the entire world, global government, economies all collapsed, the United States would be the last one to collapse. That's why every other government in the world used to hold the United States dollar as their reserve currency. But things have been changing. They didn't just all of a sudden start changing today. They've been changing for a long time. Sometime around 2012 and 2014, there was a real shift. And then we started seeing world governments start to put in their reserves gold to replace the United States dollar. And slowly and surely, the rest of the world was losing that magical belief that they had in the United States and the petrodollar. I call it the petrodollar because the United States dollar hasn't been backed by gold for some time, since 1970 to be exact, and that is where the magic started. The magical belief that the United States dollar was worth what it was worth in 1969, even though it's been on an incredibly impressive, steep, and steady decline to pennies or fractions, just minuscule amounts of what it was once worth way back in the day. That, to me and you, looks a lot like inflation, which has been rapidly crushing the lower class of the American public for the last, the whole time, right? Because it's cumulative. This compounds on itself like that compound interest Warren Buffett made so much money with. This inflation compounds as if it's a weight on the lower class of society. The problem is the division in society has become so wide, that gap between people that are not feeling this oppression and people that are feeling this oppression. It's goddamn everybody at this stage of the game. That wasn't clean and neat, but we got there. Sometimes you just got to land the plane. It is the petrodollar because if you want to buy energy in the world, you need to purchase it with United States dollars. We were able to convince OPEC, the other monopoly on oil, who are currently bullying the price of oil and gasoline, bullying the United States in this country. We've talked about this. We've talked so much about this economy. You should really understand it all by now. I am a retired economist. 20 years I've been doing this. 20 years I've been explaining it, but no one has wanted to listen to me. So you, podcast audience, please take my insights and apply them however you see fit for your own convenience in your own time. Now, these petrodollars, try and buy a barrel of oil in the Middle East using anything else. That's why we call it the petrodollar. Now, we give away this money in many different ways, shapes, and forms, one of which we'll get into was that USAID and the contracts that we give out and the natural resources that we reach out and we grab from other countries all around the world. They need to pay us in something, and we like to be paid in cash. So we find ways to extract the cash from the United States and help them with their demands so that they can send it right back to corporations and governments right here in this country. That is the petrodollar, and that is what the world has so rapidly been moving away from, at least in other parts of the world that had been entrapped and encompassed in that magic. But that has changed. How has this changed? We can see it's all happening in the bond market. So all of you savvy financial folks, you're going to say, who is this crazy person? And what magic is he speaking? He doesn't seem to be speaking in the magical tongues that I'm used to hearing financiers talk like. So let's get into some of that. That is the way in which the mechanism works behind the scenes inside the United States economy, because the United States government, the United States economic system is an incredibly entangled, clustered organism. But at the heart of that organism, there is an engine that runs, and different levers can be pulled, and different things can be injected into that engine to make things run more fluidly and more properly from time to time. And we, as an audience, can measure this by the output, what we see going on. That would be the exhaust in the vehicle. You'll have some idea of what's going on inside that engine. That exhaust is us, okay? The lower class of society, how we eat, how we live, all right? We can just kind of tell a little bit of the insight of what's been going on. But for those of you who prefer more firm metrics that you can grasp, let's use the bond market and all of the things that have been going on inside of the bond market, because the bond market as it exists is a series of IOUs that have been divided up on their maturity date and when they can be collected. That gives them the freedom to play around with the ocean and maneuver certain marketplaces into the most profitable, controllable, and organizable, whatever your means of or your wildest desires you would want for an economy when you're in control of it. So short term, I forget what it's called, notes, I believe. The medium range securities, I believe, are called treasuries, and long terms are called bonds. These are what trade on the marketplace. Now, what happens when there's a lot of volatility in the marketplace is large corporations, large banks want to park their money in the safest bet. That is going to be the largest government, because what is truly safe for a corporation who isn't tied to any particular piece of land or country? They'll park their money wherever they truly believe it's safe. That's why it's so important that the United States has all of this magic, that they will defend their corporations with the full might and extent of the United States military, which it says on every one of those dollars in different symbology that is legible to those that are looking to read it or understand it, okay? It is all right there in plain face. So they trade these on the open marketplace in these different tranches, short-term, medium-term, and long-term. You want most of your money to be long-term secure. The problem is a lot of this money in 2020, when they took over the United States government, whatever that means and whoever they are, I don't know, and I don't know who they represent, what deep, dark cabals. But what they did was they printed a whole bunch of money and they gave it away to their friends. They can't do that without IOUs. Those IOUs come in short term, medium term, and long term. Somehow our entire banking industry got entrenched in these long term, small money, low interest, low yield, low coupon bonds and treasuries for the government that are long term. Now, the problem with that is the short term yield is paying much higher. We can park our money for a short term and make more money on it elsewhere. That's a problem for the damn United States government. So they need to find a way to change the long term debt of these banks from short term, low coupon, low interest to something higher. Now, in order to do that, they're going to have to create a crisis. How are they going to come up with the crisis? Oh, how about this debt crisis they've been talking about that we've known about for goddamn ever? We've known that the government's been mortgaging our future for as long as I've been goddamn alive. Now, some people will say that President Clinton was able to balance that a bit in the 90s, but the last thing that he did before he left office was he repealed Glass-Steagall, which was what held the banks together in that long gap from the Great Recession in the 20s, 30s, and 40s all the way to 2000 and 2001, which was what allowed the banks, the private banks, commercial banks, to merge with the investment banks in 2000, create the mortgage bubble that they did until 2000 and 2008 crisis, and then continue this cyclical nature that we have been living through time and time again, because it's feeling like we're about ready to pop one of these bubbles so the United States government can regain control on what they have of the interest rates that they have been manipulating and maneuvering using those three tranches of IOUs, because it's interesting, this present day moment, a lot of people don't have the same faith, the same magic, the same confidence they once did in the United States government, and that's showing up in nobody purchasing our bonds, and that's a problem for the United States government. The thing that I fear is what they will do is use their military might to try and scare everyone back into line, but as we have seen, if you are anywhere on the internet, the other countries in the world are flexing their might, because what happens when you don't pay your IOUs? Man, we used to have at least some monicum left, some crumb of this on the street for people to relate to, because when gambling was something that was pseudo-illegal, I say pseudo because it wasn't fully illegal. If you could find a bookie, you could find a way to make some money gambling. But you're not going to make any money gambling because it all seems to be rigged. The deck seems to be rigged in the favor of the bookie. Now, however that shakes out for you, if you do not pay your bookie, what happens? Someone comes and breaks your legs, okay? And we, the United States of America, our government's the strongest one in the world. So if you don't want to keep gambling at our casino and you decide you want to take your business elsewhere, we might have to break somebody's legs. And I think that is exactly what the United States government is going to try and do somewhere, somehow, some shape, or some form. Are they going to actually try and break the entire United States dollar and move us to something completely digital? That's something my friend Whitney Webb has warned us about time and time again. Who would be the people that would bring us the mafia that exists, that would bring us to our knees, and at the same time be selling us exactly the technology that we would need to get through that current moment, that current present struggle? Who has it been in the past? Who are the people that have got us over the hurdles that we didn't even know that we were trying? I mean, I didn't even realize the American car manufacturing industry was absolutely horrible until Elon Musk made me want an electric car because he made the best electric car in the entire world. I didn't know that I wanted to buy things on the internet securely using my credit card until Elon Musk helped me with PayPal and eBay way back in the early 2000s. How many of you now are so jammed up and looking for a couple bucks that you're finding ways to sell things and you're using services much like the infrastructure that Elon Musk built with his friends, the PayPal Mafia, back in the day? And the PayPal Mafia, I want to thank my friend Kurt Metzger, and I want to thank Jimmy Dore for covering these stories, not only just the economic stories, but also the PayPal Mafia and everything that's gone on for so long that it has allowed me the insights to be able to continue on the same page as my peers and the people that I hold in high regard, right? The people that I'd love to model my podcast after, these guys that are covering the current events, they enable me to provide my insights so concisely to you because of the terminology, the language, and the vernacular that they have built going out into the world and having such success in their own right. It enables me to continue and build upon that. So the PayPal Mafia, the same people that goddamn Joe Rogan's been so blessed to have so many conversations with, David Sachs, Peter Thiel. Actually, I don't even know if he's talked to Sachs yet. I think Sachs has been very busy. But Peter Thiel and Elon Musk are certainly two of the most crucial members. It's pretty amazing, the portfolio that Peter Thiel has been able to assemble, almost as if he has insights into the future of exactly what the government is going to choose to go into, those directions. I say the government because the government accounts for 50% of all spending, at least in the United States of America. They employ 50% of people. They're a pretty big thing. I don't know if you guys have heard of them. Yeah, this has been going on for a while. And Peter Thiel's been real buddy-buddy with him. David Sachs has been on the right side of a lot of deals. And Elon Musk has not only been in with the United States of America, but he seems to be sitting pretty with a lot of governments around the world, almost like he's diversified his portfolio in case things go in a certain direction. Although he did present himself to be all in. All in on what? What has been going on in the world? What could be taking over all of the jobs that you people have left that provide you enough money to have a couple of beers, sit on your couch, maybe get some fast food, and turn on me in some effort to better understand what's going on? What has been going on is USAID, that whole thing that we've been talking about for the last 6 months. How about you're on the other side of it? How about that psychopath Elon Musk, that crazy person with a rocket launcher who may or may not be on amphetamines, running around in charge of multiple corporations and now the White House, being interesting? You know, if you guys hate this guy, you've been hating on him in the White House. You've been trying to get him out of there for the last 6 months. However you particularly feel about it, it's been a large distraction. While other people, like David Sachs, has been drafting the legislature that's going to go on and control the AI czar, is what he had been dubbed by his friends, my friends on the All In podcast, because he is going to be in charge from a legislative standpoint of assembling a lot of what is going to be the infrastructure and the guardrails or the moat that is going to be built around the marketplace that is going to become AI, because while you and I may not have the full grasp of it that we would like to, I can assure you my friends in there, the PayPal Mafia, are going to be doing their best to make sure that they're going to be in control or sitting next to whoever is in control of those levers of power. That's exactly how it's been for the last 20 years. I don't know why I would expect anything else to be going on. It doesn't seem like we've had that moment as a nation of reflection where we've said, hey, maybe that COVID thing was too much. Maybe we should stop putting our attention and energy on the same people that have done nothing but lie to us time and time again. Maybe we should start focusing our attention and energy on people that we find that are at least speaking authentically. Because they may not be right, they may not be wrong. They may be right, they may be wrong, but at least they're speaking authentically, and we can learn from that. Because that's all I can do, is I can paint this PayPal Mafia, which you can go and just YouTube. Put it in there. There's people that have put together videos way better than I would be able to, putting the full research, the time and energy required into doing the legwork. That was the videos that I used to do my legwork to figure out who these people were in the first place. And they've been in control of a hell of a lot. They've also been able to create interesting narratives around themselves that rally people behind them so that the energy in the room gets pushed behind them. And at certain critical ventures, they are able to divert that energy into a direction, a way that profits them. Does it profit the rest of humanity? I don't know. Well, Elon Musk is able to walk around the world and step on stages saying he has done the most for green energy in the world. I don't know that that's true in all the ways that we measure it, because his batteries are forced to rely on non-clean energy, which is kind of a hitch in his flaw. And then the other thing they're not telling you about is all of those people in all of those slave mines doing all of the dirty things that are required to mine the metals that go into the batteries and the technologies that we're selling on a mass scale here. Now, if we're not going to go in and explain that to people, that there are a couple hitches in Elon's plan, and if we are to ignore those, then sure, Elon may be the greenest person walking around on planet Earth. He may have eliminated more. Oh, wait, is that how we're measuring it? Eliminating carbon? Because, wait, human beings are a carbon-based life form. Maybe under a different lens and microscope of some time, we're going to start seeing things in a different manner. I'm telling you, this last distraction that Elon provided seemed to be the exact magic. And I say distraction because, well, he was able to eliminate a bunch of programs that many Americans are going to be very, very happy were eliminated. What do you do with the money? Oh, we just left it in the same coffers, in the same hands of the same people that have been in control of it the same times, who set this system up this way in the first place. So what are they going to do the next time? Oh, golly, I wonder. And that truly is the current events of what's been going on. If you don't pay attention and you take outside risk, someone's going to come break your legs. And is the United States government going to go break the legs of some other countries so that they fall into place and everybody gets on board with this new technological dollar or whatever else is being planned inside of this AI infrastructure inside the United States government, that after 100 days, it should be revealed to most of the American public is not exactly the MAGA movement that we thought it was going to be. I wanted so much. You guys saw. I give you my belief. I want to believe the best is I wanted to believe that everyone inside that cabinet was going to come in and do the things that they said they were going to do. And it was going to lead to real change in the world. But sometimes that's just not how the cards fucking fall out. That's not how the chips fall, right? Sometimes I got to let you know. All right, it's day one. If they're not doing the thing that they said they were going to do, they're not going to do the thing that they said they were going to do. And oh no, we've made a fatal error. We've once again put our time and energy into this infrastructure, into these people that are not going to do the things that they say they're going to do. It's the position. So as we've talked about time and time again, how do we control this? How do we control if those people, no matter who we put into those positions, aren't going to do the things that they say they're going to do? It means we have to do the things that we have to do for ourselves. And there are a lot of individuals doing that. When you get to be such a big individual that you start to have a magnetic effect on people and they start becoming attracted to your energy, you start to have a larger effect on the culture. And my friend AJ Gentile is somebody that I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with. For those of you that aren't, he's not too far off from the X-Files. He's not. His show is called The Y Files on YouTube. I've talked about it a million times, but AJ was on the Joe Rogan Experience. And Joe Rogan is a great example of somebody who's, when you're big enough and you're magnetic enough and you're authentic enough and you love what you're doing enough, you're going to draw eyeballs to what you're doing. That's why he's the most watched podcaster in the world, as far as I understand it. The universe, okay? And AJ Gentile has a show that you guys are familiar with, the Y-Files. It's very much like the X-Files. It's very much like Ancient Aliens and my friend Graham Hancock's show, Ancient Apocalypse on Netflix. All of these different shows that seek to do something for the mind, creatively. That's really all it is. What they're doing in exploring conspiracy theories and ancient beliefs and religious context and random happenings and ghost stories and spooky hauntings and just exploring the creativity of where the mind goes when things get dark and you hear creak in the night is really what AJ's show is. On YouTube, he was explaining to Joe Rogan that I didn't even realize it started sometime around 2020 or just before then. And it's such an unbelievable collection, artistic interpretation of how we have truly no idea of what's been going on, because as he has begun in this short time, the last 5 years, to assemble these stories, what he has presented as obviously false and somewhat debunked, now, given some time, we look back on and say, maybe, given new technology and new insights, his revelations about what we saw there need to be re-examined. And it is this continual process, because the mysteries continue to reveal themselves if you take the time to look for them. And that's what reality is. It's understanding the mysteries that exist all around us, that we don't see and take the time to notice in everyday life. Like the United States dollar, the U.S. petrodollar, how they pulled gold out way back in the 70s, and we haven't noticed that it's been inflation that's actually been killing us this whole time, or how we've been paying attention for the last 6 months to what's been going on with USAID and not been paying attention to what's been going on with U.S. artificial intelligence. And the latter may be much more important in the long run. The only way that we can do that is if we allow our mind to go to these creative places, to start thinking in context of invisible things. If ghosts are real, and you've been walking your entire life around this universe saying, I'm 100% sure ghosts are not real, then maybe they've been using you and you've been a pawn in their game, and you're never going to know that unless you've considered it. Unless you've sat down and gone, how has my day gone today? Does it feel like I've been working with an angel, or does it feel like I've been doing the devil's dirty work? Because whatever it feels like, this is your experience with reality. It's the reality that you created. It's the day you had. And hey, we all love to cause a little chaos sometimes, right? I've had plenty of days I've gone out and been like, fuck it, let's go. Light this shit on fire. Let's watch the world burn, right? I'm the first one to tell you I like to watch the world burn, but not most days, right? It takes a lot of energy. That's really what it is. It takes a lot of energy, and I just don't have the energy for that in my life. So eventually, you learn to listen to that other voice. But the only way that you get to listen, I don't even remember what I was talking about. The only way that you get to listen, yeah, that's where I was at, to listen to that other voice is if you get the creativity of your mind to stop and consider all the possibilities. That's truly what the curious, the experimenters around us are doing. Who did we talk about the breathing last week? Why can't I remember his name? Not Baz Luhrmann, but it's something like that. The Iceman. What's the Iceman's name? Breathing. Jesus Christ. Wick. Something. Oh, the world's laughing at me. You guys know the Iceman that we were talking about last week that does the breathing. He jumps into the ice and he controls his breath and he takes his body to new experiences. Those are the types of things that happen when you start experimenting, but you only start experimenting when you start to notice the invisible, the things that aren't there that actually are having some effect and some interaction on your life, but you're too busy, too confident, too sure in yourself, or too arrogant in your everyday life to stop and pay attention to the actual reality that's going on. That's really how we got here. And it's nuts. It's nuts because the consciousness portion of this episode, I was trying to think. I was trying to consider what exactly was it that I was doing that was enabling me to reach these higher planes, this growth. And it was what my friend who has asked me to be on her podcast next week has revealed to me is my closeted spirituality. Believe me, if I had known I could have come out of some closet and it would have pissed somebody off somewhere, I would have done it so much sooner, and I can't wait to tell her that, because spirituality is just paying attention to those quiet moments, the invisible things that are going on around you, that interaction that you don't know why it works, but for whatever reason, it works for you. And that's the intuition that you cultivate through whatever means you find necessary. Maybe it's music for you. Maybe you've found the perfect song. And what you don't know about that song is it's encoded with a solfeggio frequency that makes you feel this calm and this growth at the same time. And you always go to that song in certain moments to change your day and take it to, another reality and flip that switch into happiness, all right? But what you don't know is that's exactly what's in that song. These are the things that we uncover if you take the time to just sit and figure it out on your own. Figure out how the universe is talking to you. Because if you're listening for words, I can assure you that's not how they're coming, because those words are too plentiful everywhere in this space, everywhere in this world, everywhere in this universe. That can't be how the information is coming through. It's got to be coming through in some other way. And 94% of all of matter in the universe is dark matter. And that is just a term that scientists use to say that we don't understand what it is at all. So we really know nothing. And that's just really what I come back to every day. That's all the consciousness is. It's recognizing that I know nothing. But I know yesterday I was thankful, and that worked for me. So I know in the morning the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to wake up and I'm going to be thankful. And that's how I'm going to program myself. And I know that when I eat healthy, it provides me the time and energy to be able to pause and breathe. Feel the emotions that are coming through. That's the information, right? That's the information that's coming through. And then laugh at myself. For whatever reason I need to, laugh at myself because I know nothing. I know nothing about this experience. If I even have choice, if there is truly duality, I barely have scratched the surface at how this universe works, but I have predicted so much of what has gone on. I am the Oracle. I am Mr. Miyagi. And I'm the other one, all wrapped up in a Scooby-Doo packaging, all right? I don't get how it works. I truly don't understand it, but I'm so grateful to be here providing this podcast to you. So, take back your consciousness. I love you, and I'm out.